Hello, welcome back to the Towel Boy, where we try to give you the cleanest takes in sports. Um, Today we're talking about the U.S. men's national team. Uh, what is next for our soccer team for our nation coming up? As we just lost 2-1 to Mexico in the Gold Cup final. Mexico is now the back-to-back Gold Cup champions. I think they can reclaim uh, the title of the Kings of CONCACAF now, which hurts because the U.S. kind of had finally taken that over for the last about since 2019. We hadn't lost to Mexico um, in a competitive match in about six competitive matches. So this one hurts a little bit for sure. Um, that being said, next up, pretty much for the U.S. is the World Cup. So there's a lot to kind of figure out as far as what the direction of the national team is going. First of all, of course, it's always fun watching U.S. Mexico. I think maybe it doesn't have the highest pedigree of players, doesn't have the same publicity worldwide, but I think this is a top three international rivalry in the world of soccer. Two nations that when they play together, no matter who's playing, they hate each other. So always tough, gritty games. Matches are always intense. Once again, we saw that tonight, where fouls all over the place that were called, not called for both sides. Um, yeah, 2-1 Mexico. I was gonna wait a little bit to kind of let my thoughts kind of uh, be less emotional, reactionary, but that's not as fun. So I'm just gonna go ahead and record this. So my thoughts might be kind of all over the place. I apologize if I ramble a little bit, but basically, I just want to talk about the U.S. men's national team and where I think we need to go because this team is clearly we're not headed it in the right direction, right? 2026, we're hosting the World Cup. It's kind of been built for like a decade now. This is what we're reaching for. This is what's going to push soccer in this country forward. This is our golden generation, but it's been a lot of gloom lately around the national team. Things aren't looking as good, as positive as you would hope. Um, we didn't win the last Nations League. We've had some pretty disappointing results with our A team, losing to Panama in the Copa America was a huge disappointment. Getting grouped, lost to Canada last Nations League, right? Obviously, we lost this Gold Cup, and those last tournaments were with our quote unquote A team. A lot of people will say this Gold Cup maybe doesn't have merit because it was like our B minus, our C team. Who cares, right? This is like we haven't done good with our A team, so who cares that our B team, our C team isn't looking as good either, right? Before this Gold Cup, our friendlies we got demolished by Turkey and Switzerland, who are two decent teams, but like those aren't World Cup winning teams, and they made us look silly. So that was disappointing. Everybody was like, "Oh crap, we got a lot to work on," especially with this roster that Pochettino brought in. And I'm just gonna gotta break down some players that throughout this Gold Cup impressed me, didn't impress me, made an impression, talk about the team, talk about Pochettino. Uh, Once again, this is kind of just a reactionary video. I'll try to do a more in-depth review coming up sooner, but this is just my reaction after the Gold Cup as a whole. I want to start with Mauricio Pochettino. Um, his hiring looks like a bad hire, um, to me at least. Uh, when I was excited when we hired him, big name in European football. Maybe he can take our quote unquote golden generation to the promised land, right? Maybe we can make the quarterfinals. We have some talent. He's got the experience internationally. Maybe we can make some magic happen, right? But then so far it's been pretty terrible, right? Um, Weirdly enough, since Berhalter has left, Pochettino and the Confederation or the Federation has been even more pro MLS, which I'm not saying we can't like dig into the MLS a little bit, but that is we're not going to be a successful soccer nation if we always are relying on the MLS. Um, yes, we'll have some good players come out of the MLS, but especially right now, our best players are the ones that are based in Europe. So that's been kind of a weird surprise to me. Um, a lot has been made of the roster that he brought, um, bringing in mostly MLS guys or our B C team, people like Pulisic, reportedly not wanting to come to camp. And I finally gotten over that. Like whatever, you guys don't want to come play. who cares? We'll see what we got with our B team, C team. It doesn't matter. I try to go into that mindset where it doesn't matter. Who cares? Our B team. But now I'm pissed off. Watching the Gold Cup, Mexico celebrating with their A team like they had won a major final because they did. And you didn't want to come be a part of that? Like, we're trying to build something for the World Cup, and all you guys are not coming. Now, I know there's different reasons. There might be injuries, club, whatever. But right now, as a reactionary U.S. men's national team fan, I'm pissed off. That's dumb. I want our best guys here at all times. I want guys to care about putting the crest, wearing the badge on their jersey. And the fact that we don't seem to have that right now kind of sucks. And credit to the team that was here during the Gold Cup. There were some guys that showed they cared. Obviously, Diego Luna made a big deal. I thought Sebastian Berhalter showed that he cared. This team as a whole seemed like they cared. They're not as talented as our A team, a lot of our European guys, but they showed a lot of heart, I think. But heart only goes so far, right? That's not going to take you to the World Cup. But for this Gold Cup, that is whatever. But Pochettino, back to him. Throughout this Gold Cup, when talk, I thought his subbing was horrendous. He waited way too long to make subs, um, waited too long for them to make an impact, and so you didn't see his substitutions really do anything. You saw this in the quarterfinals, our team was gassed. The semifinals, our team was gassed. We had to hold on to both those games. Against Mexico, we didn't make a difference. Waited too late. And it was just like, what are we doing? Our team is obviously tired at points. Why are we not making subs, right? Um, very little tactical changes that I would have liked to see. One thing kind of funny, but like the lineup continuity throughout the Gold Cup kind of made me a little mad. Like the fact that we brought out the same 11 for multiple games after we showed we were tired, had hard fought games before, previous games. Like, why not make a couple changes? Our guys are obviously tired. We need to do something here in the World Cup, when you're playing against some of the best nations in the world, you can't put the same 11 guys out for the whole group stage and then hopefully in the knockout rounds, those same 11 guys can't play. You're going to have to rotate the side a little bit. So I would have loved to see more rotation throughout the tournament. And also not just the Gold Cup, but like we had not played an inspiring brand of soccer since Pochettino took over. It kind of seems like he's trying to run it as a club because as he's got his history, it's a very successful club manager. He's trying to play his style, not the style that works for our team. We don't have a goalkeeper that can play out of the back. Matt Freese or Matt Turner are terrible playing out of the back, but we're trying to possess out of the back. We saw this against in the friendlies where we were playing out of the back, got attacked, turned over the ball, got scored on. Right? We've done that too much. Our team is not meant to play out of the back. Starting with our goalkeeper, our midfield, that's not our strength. And then in the Gold Cup, we didn't have a ton of possessing midfielders. And then we had our wingers, Diego Luna and Sebastian Berhalter. Those are more midfielders, right? Sebastian Berhalter is probably better as a center mid. Luna, maybe a winger, maybe a center mid, attacking mid. But they're trying to play this out of the back counter attacking football, especially against Mexico. You saw this just doesn't work. How are you going to play counter attacking football with wingers that aren't quick and pacey? That's just not our brand. So for that international teams, you have to play to the team's strengths, not to your idea of what you want that brand of football to be. So I think Pochettino is kind of lacked in that area as well. Um, Hopefully we can pick it up. We got some couple more friendlies, but man, I'm not inspired by him personally. I think we should probably fire him, try something new before the World Cup. But we don't. There's not another name out there that's gonna happen. Who else would we get? I think we're gonna have to ride with Pochettino. Um, yeah, and then our Gold Cup, some people have been a little bit positive saying, hey, we made it to the final. We weren't expected to, which I think is dumb as hell because we're in CONCACAF. It should be Mexico and USA in every final. I don't care. I know it's not the best Mexican team as the last couple of years, but Canada's made their rise. But US and Mexico, we are the kings of CONCACAF. I don't care if it's our D team out there. I want the US in the final every time. People were praising our results, but like, yes, we won, but like, we beat Trinidad and Tobago. We barely beat Saudi Arabia, who's ranked 58th in the world. We barely beat Haiti 2-1. They're ranked 80th in the world. Costa Rica, we had to go to PKs. They're ranked 54th in the world. Guatemala was a dogfight. They're ranked 106th in the world. Like, those aren't teams that are supposed to give us a challenge. Like, I don't think. Now, I know it's a tournament, whatever, get CONCACAF. Fair, fine enough. But like those are teams we should be beating, and it shouldn't be seen as a super positive thing that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing, right? And then this they played better this Gold Cup recently, but this is probably the worst stretch of football that Mexico has played in decades, probably in my lifetime, right? So losing to them hurts our biggest rival, no matter what. I don't care if it's our B team, our C team. And then a goalkeeping situation, Matt Freese was a hero against Costa Rica. But I'm still not confident in our goalkeeping situation. Matt Turner went to Lyon, but then like they got relegated. What's he gonna do? He hasn't been very good for the U.S. lately. Freese is fine, but like as I said earlier, neither one of them can play with their feet, so that's something. But it's funny because the U.S. used to have like Brad Guzan, Brad Friedel, Tim Howard, Casey Keller. That used to be our strong suit, but now goalkeeper, what do we have right now? Who knows? Defensively, man, oof, this Gold Cup was rough from a few standpoints. Max Arfston and Alex Freeman, I don't want to see ever play for the U.S. ever again. Um, I'm being reactionary, probably being harsh, but I don't really care. They were not good defensively the entire tournament. Um, Max Arfston had a couple goals and assists. Good for him. I will say he's not a left back, so he was playing out of position, so he was awful defensively. He's not a left back, so I'll give him a little leeway there, but him and Alex Freeman just simply aren't good enough for the U.S. men's national team. They were terrible defensively, I think, throughout, uh, especially against Mexico. But against good competition, no way should we ever throw them out there. Um, our center back situation is scary to me. Uh, because Chris Richards is so damn good. He might be our most important player based on the fact like our positional needs. Like Pulisic is obviously our best player, but Richards, we don't have other good center backs. So and then time and time again, Chris Richards was saving everybody. He scored the goal against Mexico, obviously, and then time and time again, a wing back would get beat. Richards was there for the block. His positioning was outstanding. It would have been 3-4-1, I think, without Chris Richards in that game against Mexico. So Chris Richards is a stud. So kudos to him. Stock up to Chris Richards. He's a staple in the Crystal Palace FA Cup winning side. Stable for the U.S. for years and years to come. Tim Ream looked bad. I thought this Gold Cup. His age is just catching up to him. He's still one of our best passers, but athletically, he's just not there. He was out of position a few times. He had a few missed passes throughout this whole summer. But who else do we have next to Chris Richards, right? Miles Robinson is a better athlete, but positionally, is I don't know. Mark McKenzie, Cameron Carter Vickers, I don't know. So it's probably still going to be Tim Ream in the World Cup, but you really look forward to Chris Richards, him getting better. And then our defense, of course, we're going to have Anthony Robinson back at left back. We're going to have Serginho Dest back. Um, and then for the World Cup, man, I hope Arston and Freeman don't make the roster. Like, it should be Joe Scally. It should be, I would prefer Tolkien, Christopher Lund, Caleb Wiley, all as wingbacks over Arston or Freeman. So I hope uh, maybe they improve, but right now, no thank you. And then in the midfield, um, Tyler Adams didn't seem like himself this tournament. He wasn't all over the place. Now again, it wasn't the same competition. He had a little bit different role. He came in a little injured, but he just didn't look like the same Tyler Adams we've seen. But we know what he can do for the U.S. He's still probably our starting defensive mid for our A team here and in the upcoming World Cup. Uh, his midfield partners, some of them showed me things, some of them didn't. Johnny Cardoso, he's got a big move coming to Atletico Madrid, but he was so bad in the friendlies, he barely played like at all in the Gold Cup. So you hope he can find his club form and bring it to the U.S. But so far, it's not looking great for the U.S. He's just not brought that same form to the U.S. One person who finally brought his club form to the U.S. though, Malik Tillman, who outside of Chris Richards was the best player in this entire tournament, probably, um, for the Gold Cup. He was so good defensively, tracking back, making tackles left to right. He took a beating from every team because he was our best player. Created chances, he was strong, creative on the ball. He got has a big move, kind of being a Florian Wirtz replacement at Leverkusen. So I'm excited to see that. But he's been so good in the Netherlands. but he's never been shown that for the U.S. But he finally did during the Gold Cup. He was outstanding. I think he's probably our starting 10 or starting in the midfield as an 8. Right now, if you had our A team starting in the World Cup with Adams as our playing at the 6 and then Tillman and McKinney um, at the other center mid positions there. And then other midfielders, Luca De La Torre didn't really inspire anything. I don't think he was bad, but he didn't really make an impact. I don't. He might be a guy who makes the 26 for the World Cup. Um, I probably wouldn't bring him, but there could be worse options. But he just doesn't inspire me. Uh, Jack McGlynn, I would have liked to see more. He's a really good passer. Love the left foot on him. I would have liked to see him play more than Luca De La Torre, probably. But who knows? He's another guy I would look forward to continuing his progression in the MLS and then maybe making the 26. I would. He's one of the guys on this roster I wouldn't hate to see make the World Cup 26. Um, Sebastian Berhalter was a huge surprise for me. I don't think he was outstanding by any means, but he had some good moments. Had the awesome assist against Mexico, and then he was just solid. He could play. He played it wide as a winger, kind of for this tournament. I think he's more of a center mid. He'll be a backup option, so he gives you some versatility. He can play on the wing, in the central midfield. I think he'll continue to play for Vancouver well, and then he has a chance to make the World Cup also. So I wouldn't have expected that the last like year or so, but I liked what some things that I saw out of Berhalter. I was like, okay, yeah, we can bring him to the World Cup. Not as a starter or as a key piece, but if we had to have a guy be a replacement, Berhalter was fine to me. And then of course one of the starlets of the tournament, Diego Luna, had 3 goals. He was awesome. He showed the energy that he cares about wearing the U.S. badge. He has some flair. Now, I want to pump the brakes a little bit. Some people are saying, oh, we got to start Luna. I don't think so. I think it's still Weah and Pulisic on the wings solidly. I mean, Luna, his best game was against Guatemala. 2 goals, awesome game, but it's Guatemala. How much stock are you going to put into that performance? We've seen Weah perform at the World Cup, right? But I love Luna. He should be the first guy off our bench, I think, for the World Cup in our A team. He solidified his spot on the roster. He could start in a pinch, and you wouldn't be mad, right? But he can play on the wing. He can play in the midfield. So his versatility and creativity, I like that. He plays a style that not a lot of Americans have. He likes to have the ball at his feet. He has that flair, kind of that Brazilian esque um, type of play, right? So you like that about Luna. And he's for sure making the World Cup after he got snubbed out of the Olympics. Um, Luna was definitely one of the bright spots of this tournament for the U.S. Um, and then in the forward position, man, we need Pepe and we need Balogun badly because Patrick Ajamong is he's just not the answer. He tries really hard. I'll give him that. But he has some of the worst technical ability I've ever seen out of a forward playing for the U.S. men's national team. His first touch is terrible. He can't make a simple pass. Like you saw that against, I think it was the Guatemala game where he had Luna running down the left hand side, played the ball like 10 feet behind him. Like as a, he's a hold up forward who doesn't have great hold up play. He's fast, he's athletic, but if he's our third option at the World Cup, I guess, but I would still prefer Sergeant Haji Wright. I liked what I saw out of Damian Downs a lot more. In the few minutes he played, I wish I would have seen Damian Downs play a lot more. So I look forward to seeing him trying to make that roster as like the third striker. Um, but yeah, Ajamang is not the answer. Brian White, obviously not the answer. But it comes down to this roster, while I said no excuse, we can't make it, it is our B minus our C team. Like only 6 of these guys would I even consider bringing to the World Cup right now. Matt Freese, I would bring because we don't have a lot of options, right? Uh, Chris Richards is a starter. Tim Ream is probably a starter. Adams is a starter. Tillman is a starter, and then Luna is one of our first subs. Berhalter, I could bring. I could bring Jack McGlynn. I personally would probably bring both Aronson brothers, even though they didn't play a whole lot. They didn't make a huge impact in the Gold Cup. Maybe Damian Downs, but like other than that, I don't know. Maybe John Tolkien if you want another left back, other than Caleb Wiley or Christopher Lund. Um, but yeah, man, that's just kind of a lot of thoughts. It probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I bet I was just kind of spewing things because we just lost to Mexico, man. That sucks. I hate it. I'm still pissed they didn't call a handball. The dude picked up the damn ball like to pick up basketball. I don't care if there's no one there. That should be a handball penalty. Um, but Mexico was the better team. They deserved it. Um, from the other than the goal we scored in the first 4 minutes, Mexico possessed the ball. They had like 65% possession. They had way more chances. Um, Kudos to Mexico. They look like they're on the upward trend of the last couple of years, whereas the U.S. it looks kind of bleak right now. So, hopefully we play South Korea and Japan in September. Hopefully we can bring our full roster. That'll be our last chance, really, before the World Cup, to bring our guys in. Try to integrate some of the ideas that we saw that were successful in the Gold Cup. Some of the players with our Pulisics, with our Balagans, with our Weyas, our McKinneys, our Jetties, our I can't wait to see Serginho Dest back for the U.S. Um, but yeah, there it is. Just nothing's fancy at all. Just kind of just word vomiting uh, after a loss to our biggest rival. So hopefully it made some sense. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. Please let me know um, what direction you want to see the U.S. go in. What players impressed you? What players you kind of think their stock was hurt in this Gold Cup? Um, and I look forward to seeing those comments. Like, subscribe if you haven't. And until next time, have a good one.